Two things, brother. I'm gonna honor your legacy and I'm gonna make you proud. So just start and trust me. Go with the process, have mentors like you guys and have them expedite the process, but it's okay, fail early, fail hard, fail often. You do that, you're gonna absolutely crush it.
Hey guys, welcome back to Ignition Point. I'm Debbie Hart.
Sean Finnegan.
And today we have Scott, the Red Suit Realtor, if you haven't noticed. We have had that, like shoes and all. Not just red, but they're shiny.
I gotta suck the gut in a little bit, right?
King of stealth swag.
I'm not ready yet. Hold on, we gotta pop this out. This isn't about me. This is about Ignition Point.
Yeah.
Well, then Sean needs a purple suit next time.
I really do need a purple suit. Because, I mean, you can see this guy. You're attracted to this guy. He wears this is his uniform.
You can't but look at him and think, what does this guy do? It must be really big. So tell us, what do you do and how did you get started in that?
And we got to hear the story of the red.
Yeah.
So my family owns the Hell Center Theater, and they've been doing plays for 50, 60 years. My great-grandfather built that in Glendale, California. So they'd always do these plays and they'd always do this theater. And I guess I wasn't that great of an actor. I got, they didn't want me. So I was like, I wanted to put a costume on, right? And so actually it's funny how it all began. When I was a child, I remember watching wrestling with my brother, Chad. And you know those
All-star wrestling type? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
High energy, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah.
And my brother, that was one thing that we could actually do and share with each other. He couldn't do a lot. I mean, he could walk till he was 5. When he was 6, he was diagnosed with a rare disease called dystonia. And it affected his ability to talk, walk. It affected his ability to do all those regular things that you and I can do. But the one thing he could do is we could watch wrestling together. And so he was 5 years older than me, and so we'd watch wrestling together, we'd spend our time there, and we just had some of the best moments, and so that was very, very important to me to spend quality time with my brother. And so I remember 10 years ago when he died, I looked up and he always had the biggest smile, and I said, hey, two things, brother. I'm going to honor your legacy, and I'm going to make you proud. And he was different. And different in this world is usually coined as not a good thing. But he was different, but he was my hero. And so he was the biggest inspiration, BYU fan in the world. Right. And so I decided I'm going to put on the red suit because he was the blue, to honor my brother's legacy, to be different.
Wow.
So about 7 years ago, I put on the red suit, went over to the BYU game at BYU in the red suit, took my son out there. And so that's kind of where the Red Suit was born.
Wow.
The Red Suit Realtor was born when my daughter was helping me create my cover for my book. She's like, hey, Dad, you do know that you're the Red Suit Realtor. So there's so much passion behind it. It's not just a gimmick. It's not just, it's really like what's in my blood. And it is good marketing. Yeah, no doubt. But that's where it came from.
Oh, that's a beautiful
So I met Scott because he's like, hey, I want to do an event at your office. And then he came over here and he did a little shoot out in our lobby. And he came out like a bolt of light. I mean, literally. He did this little skit where he would run into the sneaker store, run out to the event. He was doing all this, and I was like, who is this guy? I need to be around this kind of raw energy.
I think I bought 3 pair of red sneakers while I was in there at the same time during the skit.
A lot of guys do, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, no, it was what an event, and it was like, when you're around somebody that's your hero that can't walk, can't talk, our heartbeats are ticking. We only have so many heartbeats. Yeah. So if you're going to do something, go all in.
Live life to the fullest.
Live life. My brother would have given anything to be able to do that. Yeah. So I live my life like the Tasmanian devil because that's the only way for me. Because my brother's probably looking down like, man, appreciate you. Yeah. So
that is such a beautiful ignition point. I had no idea the story behind your brand. So in addition to losing your brother, what are some of the other things that you had to face as you built this brand?
Yeah, we're gonna go deep on this one, right? As a kid, I was big, and then I wasn't big, but I still had a big mouth on me. And so I remember in high school, I was very suicidal. I had a lot of people that, I would get chased after school, that, kids would try to beat me up and jump me and do all these crazy things. And I probably deserved it, right? And I remember there was a time in my life, like, do I want to live anymore? And so for me, it really, the whole behind the thing, it's okay to be different, to build something special. I really want to inspire the world. It doesn't matter what you wear, it matters who you are. And if I was trying to be somebody that I'm not, that's when you really struggle with your self-worth. When I realized I'm going to do what makes me happy, that's when I realized that I'm happy and people will start respecting me. They don't always have to love the red, but they're going to respect me because they see, man, that guy's living his dream right there.
You are truly authentically being you, despite what everyone else is thinking or saying. I love that. So
Also, the event, when I first met you, you're like, I'm going to do an event next week. I think it was pretty short. I was like, okay, how many chairs do you need? And like 20, 30. And he's like, no, I want 100. And I'm like, because we do a host events out here all the time. And in fact, you're the same company as Debbie, who, when I first met you,
short notice,
was doing events, short notice. And I'm like, for the most part, 90% of the time, it's 20 people at most. So I was like, here's 10 days later, in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, great. Go get 100. Sure enough, event happens. You have Sean Whalen on board. You have Ryan Bowen. Good. I mean, you brought in a great lineup. Paige Steckley was on stage.
She's amazing.
You built it was an incredible table you built in that room. 100 people plus were in the room. It was packed to the rafters. And it was an amazing event.
Yeah, I feel like events, so as I built this Build Your Table community, I feel like, hey, I'm going to plan for the wedding, or I'm going to plan for this event next year. People's plans change. And so it's like the moment of, if you've done a really, really good job adding value in people's lives, and you can say, hey, we're doing this tomorrow, it's like, you got to be there. It's like, okay, what's going on? I want to be there. Yeah. So I've realized sometimes throwing events, we've got a Parade of Homes listing coming in Salt Lake. Paige and I are listing this beautiful home, massive. And yesterday, we're like, okay, we got to pour the concrete, do the yard, do the landscaping, and in 1 week, we're going to throw a charity event and raise like $10,000 for kids and single moms. Let's do it. And literally, we put together an 80s theme with like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We're going to have some nice cars. And like all of a sudden, people are like, okay, what's going on? I'm in. I want to support you. So sometimes that urgency is a good thing, not a bad thing. And my wife hates it because she's a planner. And I'm like, I'm a planner, but in my mind, I've been planning these things for years. People just think I just came up with that idea. No, and as I'm driving down the road, hey, that would be super cool to do this. And so there's kind of that organized chaos in my life, but urgency is everything.
And every experience they've had with you, you lead with value first. And you give them great experiences and events, and you do this. So when you do say, hey, we have something tomorrow, they're like, okay, I'm going to rearrange my schedule. I'm going to be here tomorrow. And you can do it in a short period of time.
Yeah.
And I think a part of that too is not only I want you to come just to learn from me, I want you to come to be a part of the event. Hey, you're good at this. Can you talk to these people about that? Like, everyone wants to feel special. So when you invite somebody, gosh, you would be such a power to this group. Regardless if they have 7 million followers on Instagram or they have 7, every single person has something that we need to get that out, that they can share with the world. And that's powerful as well.
Oh, yeah. That's so true.
Amen. So one of the things I noticed in the event is you had a bunch of single moms get up and talk. Talk us through why do you support that community? And tell us more about that.
Yeah, I married a single mom. So I met my son when he was 11. He's 28 now. I'm a grandpa. I look like it, right?
Yeah.
And when I was a child, my parents did the best thing ever. They say, hey, we're going on vacation. I'm like, oh, awesome. Well, I showed up a day later in the middle of nowhere in Penitas, Mexico, building a community center for a week in a tent with like no resources. My parents taught me the value of hard work. And, you hear that life's not fair. Hey, if life was fair, you'd probably be living in China in the rice paddies. My dad used to always say that to me. So my parents taught me that the rest of the world isn't like what it is here. They taught me the value to appreciate what we had. So the best trips I ever had in my life were service trips to Bolivia, Mexico. We went to Peru, Chile. So I've had the opportunity to see the world as it really is and not here and appreciate that. So I'm able to instill that with my kids, my family, that you've never made it. When you feel like you've made it, that's when you got to watch out. It's like once you got to keep going. I'm a door knocker. It's like I'll always be a door knocker because I love it. I'm passionate about it. And so back to that with single moms, they're out hustling. They're having to wear all these hats, and they've had a lot of losers out there that have taken advantage of them. And so if we can inspire them, so as there's been these real estate transactions that have popped up, hey, you're a single mom, let's do this together. And I've helped some single moms flip their first home and make over $50,000 on their first deal. That's life-changing money that inspires them to be great and to put all those, that you can do it. You just need to have that power of the community.
Yeah, and I've been to a lot of events, and a lot of times it's like 90% are guys getting up, and very few do you have. Debbie happens to be a great speaker, but in that event, it was a really balanced. You had a lot of women get up.
Powerful women. I love that you did that so much, because that speaks to my story. I was a struggling single mom, had to live in other people's basements, and I assumed that I could never buy a house again because of the situation I'd been left in. It wasn't until I entered real estate and the mortgage industry that I learned how, bought my first place, and that changed everything for me. That flipped the switch for me. And of course, then we went through COVID, had hundreds of thousands in equity, and that changed everything for me. So I'm really passionate that I would love to collaborate on another event with you and get a whole bunch of single moms taught and trained by you, because it's a big deal to get them out of that state. They just don't know that they can.
Should we flip at home with Debbie? Let's do it. Let's do it. You just basically said, all right, right there, we're flipping a home together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fun. I've realized too, I've flipped a lot of homes myself. I've been doing it for a long time. And I remember when I first started flipping, hey, I flipped this home, I made 20 grand. People were like, that's the coolest thing ever. Yes. And then after a few years, they're like, I flipped a home, I made 80 grand. They're like, yeah, who cares? Like, you've been doing it forever, right? But when it's the new person, and so I feel like my whole thing,
life-changing.
I'm the fix and flip expert. I'm going to help 1,000 people flip their first home. That's powerful. That person that it's so inspirational to the world for that person to see that first person flip their first home. So on my YouTube channel, the Red Suit Realtor, I started documenting these. So I've got like 7 or 8 episodes we just started, so people can actually see from A to Z, because people won't believe you. A lot of times, like, okay, cool, go to my YouTube and watch it.
Right.
Yeah, what's your YouTube channel? So we want to make sure everybody follows you and sees
Yeah, that'd be great. Oh my gosh, for me, right?
Yeah.
No, it's just Red Suit Realtor YouTube. The website's the same, redsuitrealtor.com. And then Instagram's just Red Suit Realtor.
Red Suit Realtor everywhere. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, so this is my book, Suited for Real Estate Success. And the best thing I've ever done in my life for my business is I wrote a book. And here's why. 2 reasons, right? Number 1, it establishes authority. Number 2 is it inspires other people. So today we went up to Boise with Mitch and Maylee last weekend. We went up there and we met some amazing people. And I had this guy call me up this morning and he said, hey man, thank you so much for that book. He's like, matter of fact, my 8-year-old son, I walked in on him today reading your book. I've never seen him read anything. Like literally I could sense the tears in his eyes through the phone. Like, thank you so much. And so I was willing to put myself out there, write my story, not only about real estate, but also it was to help provide closure to my brother, as far as like to part of the legacy, so people knew who my brother was through the Red Suit. But it's been the most impactful thing that I've ever done, is write a book, and you guys should, because it will change your life, and it's your story. I could die tomorrow, and now I've got my legacy. People can read about it, and it was a powerful thing in my life.
Wow, I love that.
One of your phrases you say regularly is, set your table, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, set your table, build your table.
Build your table, yeah.
So tell us how you came up with that idea. Where did that all start?
Yeah, so I was sitting there kind of thinking of names and stuff and all this, and I remember I'm part of the, Sean Whalen's coaching group, right? And so he would always sit there and he'd be like, man, build your table. Build your table. And I started these meetups, and I've launched them across the country. So I've been doing it for 3 years. Every single week, all these investors, realtors, everyone comes, contractors, they come and I connect them. And I'm trying to teach people, guys, this is great, but you're helping me build my table. Why don't you build your table? And so I started inspiring, and all these other groups started to launch off of what I was doing. And so the name kind of came actually from Sean Whalen. He kept saying, I'm like, that's brilliant. Let's name it because it's about the community. It's not about me. It's not build Scott's table. It's about build your table. So leadership, like great leaders create other leaders. And the whole concept of build your table is, gosh, if I try to do it all myself, I can only get so far. If I can help inspire others and connect, and we can collaborate with each other, that's how you win the game.
That's how you change lives. That's amazing.
Yeah, you've helped inspire.
So
Not only
many
have you
people.
built your table, but you've also helped all these groups like that to say, hey, I can also do this, right? And it's going to change the universe of many people.
Tell you what, so if I could have this, we have a teen entrepreneurship event this Saturday.
Okay.
We teach teens how to launch their business, and and many of them have. I would love to give your book away as a gift to one of them. Is that okay?
Deal. Do it.
All right.
Okay.
We try to teach the teams to build their table.
We do.
Right?
We've had Maylee come and speak. We have different speakers on different topics so they can learn. There's more than dog walking and lawn mowing to launch a business as a teenager. So real estate's one of them.
I'd be honored. Seriously. Thank you for doing that.
And then they prepare pitches for seed money and mentorship. And
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I wrote it at a 5th grade reading level so I could understand it myself. Right?
we'll get a
So,
team to come shadow
Yeah.
you and do their first flip,
anytime,
maybe
seriously.
too.
Let's get a bunch
Yeah.
of teens flipping
All
homes
right,
too.
let's
You know,
do it.
that's what it's all about. You know, this generation, this country, we need more leaders that are out there. That's why I love coaching, because I don't think they're getting in the schools. But we can literally teach them discipline. We can teach them to honor their commitments and teach them it's okay to lose. And really, the only way you lose is when you give up and you quit. And that's the name of the game in anything across the board. Do the hard stuff when you're little. If you don't do the hard stuff when you're little, it's going to be really hard when you're old. If you do the hard stuff when you're small, it's going to be very, very easy now. And that's so powerful, a message that my parents taught me and my mentors as well.
So closing remarks. So what's your best advice? Let's say people are watching, entrepreneurs watching, they want to build their table. Where do they start? What advice would you have?
The same advice that my mentor, my coach, Sean, told me. He said, just start. I asked him, hey, should I throw a big, massive event? Should I throw a small event? He said, just start. Just start practicing. Just start doing it. That's the easiest thing, because you're not going to be a professional. Stop trying to be a professional at everything that you do. It's when you mess up, that's when people can relate to you. And the more you do it, the better, the more natural you'll get. Matter of fact, me, when I don't wear this, at first it was really uncomfortable. But now when I don't wear this, it's really uncomfortable. The uncomfortable things become very comfortable the more you do it. So just start, and trust me, go with the process, have mentors like you guys, and have them expedite the process. But it's okay, fail early, fail hard, fail often. You do that, you're going to absolutely crush it.
All right, you guys, you heard it here first. Just get started. That's your ignition point.
The start is what stops you, right? So we talk to people, you know, because
All the time.
Debbie especially, like her schedule today is every hour she's talking to entrepreneurs. And the most common thing we hear is, once this is right, once we have this little thing, I'm going to do that. I have a friend who bought all of the equipment for podcast and held on to the equipment for a year. And the most incredible stuff ever. And I was like, what are you waiting for?
To be perfect, right? But you don't learn until you do it.
Just go out and your first
And
one's
you
good,
mess
you're gonna
up
have
and then you
problems,
fix
you're gonna
it,
mess
yeah.
up, right?
Our
Yeah, I
first
mean,
few were not super great.
If a guy in a $99 red suit can do it, so can you, right?
Follow him, Red Suit Realtor, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Get his book, Change Your Life. We'll see you guys next time. Build your table.
If any of you watching today have any doubts that your current CPA is not helping you take 100% advantage of the deductions you deserve and helping you stay compliant with the IRS, then don't hesitate to get involved with TaxHive today. You won't be disappointed.